All right, hi everyone. This is Jonathan Rocker from the Equipping the Saints group on Facebook. It's that time again to do another little video, except this time I thought I would do something a little different. It's been kind of on my mind for a while. You could ask Carla. She could tell you. I've been wanting to do this for a little while, and that is what I would call kind of a rant, you know. But this rant isn't going to be just a blindless rant. It's there's a purpose to it. So over the last 100 years or so, the church has really been more of like a social club. If you were part of the church, then you were accepted. This is the place to be. And generally speaking, if you went to church, then it was believed that you were going to heaven. Sorry, folks, doesn't work like that. Going to church does not ensure that you're going to heaven. Going to church is not about a social club. In fact, the whole purpose of the church is to minister to people, whether these people be lost or they be other members of the church. But regardless, we are supposed to be ministering to others. That's the purpose of the church. And in the last century or so, that really has been forgotten. It's in fact, I'd say in the last 50 years it got to the point where even though the church would say, "Come as you are," they didn't really mean that. What they meant was, get your crap together, then you can come in and attend church and be a worthwhile contributor. In particular, tithing, and maybe some volunteering. But church isn't really like that. At least it's not supposed to be. Church is designed for the sick. Like I said, we're supposed to be ministering to one another, not just hanging out with our friends and being cool. If anything, that's really pathetic and it's really selfish and disgusting. It really drives me up the wall. Ask my wife on that one. She'll tell you, I'm really being quite reserved right now. But I definitely go off on a tangent on this stuff. You may notice, over behind my shoulder here is my little dog. That's what we call Mighty. He's a little Chihuahua Terrier mix, but anyway, back to the issue at hand. Some 16 years ago, shortly after my wife and I got married, I had brought my wife to this church that I'd been going to for quite a while. I felt comfortable at the church. I really loved and respected the church. Still do in a lot of ways, but so my wife and I had been going there not quite a year, and so we're going to the married couples Sunday school class, and one day the leader of the married couples class in a small group, after we had broken up, men with men, women with women, so the leader decides that he's going to confess about his struggle with pornography. Given the situation with my wife where she's been seriously abused, this is kind of a sensitive subject with me. So I straight up right then let him know that if he doesn't get a grip on this, which I realized that's why he was bringing it up, but if he didn't get a grip on this, that his pornography was going to escalate, and that he would end up in a divorce. Then a little bit later, my wife gave birth to our daughter, and our daughter was born on April 28th. So on May 10th, it was Mother's Day, and everyone was stopping my wife and admiring our daughter and that sort of thing. And prior to this, I had discussed with her psychiatrist about postpartum depression, because we wanted to be ready for that. But neither her psychiatrist nor anyone else had considered postpartum psychosis. And on that day, my wife went into postpartum psychosis, and she ended up being hospitalized. But also, we ended up being kicked out of the church. Initially, they had said it was supposed to be for like 6 months, 9 months, something like that. Well, that time period came and went. We still weren't welcome back. So we just went on to other churches. We finally found one. But that there really drives the point home, is that the church is supposed to minister to the hurting, to the lost, to the sick. That's the whole point of the church. If it can't minister to the lost, to the sick, to the hurting, then what's the point? I can remember back in the 80s when AIDS was first coming out, and the general idea behind AIDS was that it was God's judgment on the homosexual community. I don't know whether it was or wasn't, and it doesn't really matter. It's not our place to judge. However, I do know one thing. Again, the church missed an opportunity to minister to some people that needed it. Instead of the church being all snooty, holding their nose in the air like they're so much better than everyone, and they let thousands, maybe millions die. I promise you, they will be held accountable. Over the years, the church has compromised again and again and again. We've gotten to the point to where we say, well, at least we believe that Jesus was born of a virgin, came in the flesh, lived a perfect sinless life, died on the cross, and rose in 3 days and is now seated at the right hand of the Father. Granted, those are the basic points. But when you begin compromising, then it gets easier to compromise the next time. And compromise, and compromise, and compromise. Until eventually, you have nothing left. It's like what Jean-Luc Picard said in First Contact. The line must be drawn here. This far, no further. We, as part of the body of the Christ, the church, need to draw a line. And we need to say, this far, no further. We need to stop compromising. We shouldn't be in the business of giving up ground. We're supposed to be advancing the kingdom, not giving it away. But yet, for the last 100 years, maybe more, that's what we've been doing. Now we have people in elevated positions of the church that really shouldn't be there. We have people in positions of the church who are living lives of sin, and the church just elevates them because they're trying to say, oh, well, we need to be sensitive to this, or we need to be sensitive about that. Yeah, maybe we do need to be a little bit sensitive, but we're supposed to minister to that. It doesn't mean we exalt sin and put it on a pedestal and pat it on the back and say, good job. It's not what it's about. We're not supposed to exalt sin. We're supposed to have the heart and mind of Christ. And that is, we should hate sin. Now, please hear me on this. That does not mean that we hate the person. Back in the 80s, there was a lot of stuff that happened in the 80s, but back in the 80s, we had these pro-lifers that would go out and blow up these abortion clinics. And I'm thinking, how stupid is that? Here you are trying to say you're pro-life, and yet you're killing. Okay, that's just stupid any way you want to slice it. Yay, I'm pro-life, but let me kill you because you're not. how messed up the church is. Welcome to the new Dark Ages. That's right, folks. We are in the new Dark Ages, where the truth is made out to be a lie, and lies are set up as truth. Nowadays, there are pastors being thrown into prison right here in America. Pastors are being thrown into prison because they preach about sin. They preach that homosexuality is a sin. And you know, homosexuality is a sin. You might say, well, where is it in the Bible? Gee, it's not hard to find. In the days of Noah, the population was so overrun with sexual immorality, including homosexuality, that God decided that he wanted to start over. So he did. After Noah comes the great Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham went to bat for them. What about if there's 50? What if there's 40? What if there's 20? What if there's 10 righteous people? There wasn't 10 righteous people in that whole city. Not 10. No. It was just Lot's family. Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters. 4 people. Out of those 4, his wife turns back. She becomes a pillar of salt. Now there's 3. Later on, his 2 daughters become convinced that they need to get the population started. So they commit incest with their father. Yeah, righteous people. These were the righteous people. It's easy for us to look back on them and point out their sin. We think we're so much better than they are. Are you? Are we? Are we really any better? No. None of us has any right. But as far as homosexuality being in the Bible, we get the term Sodom, we get the concept Sodom from the city of Sodom. For what they did, their behavior, their So yeah, while the Bible doesn't contain the word homosexual in it, the Bible is replete with examples. Romans chapter 1 is another example. In fact, it actually says that they gave up that which is natural for that which is unnatural, that men burned with desire for one another. and women also. It's pretty straightforward. But that, there again, that doesn't mean we're supposed to beat down the homosexuals. We're not supposed to beat down anyone who's a sinner. We're supposed to minister. Minister. And I really think that a lot of that's been lost in the church. On one hand, we have people in the church thinking that to minister to these people, then you have to endorse it. And then on the other hand, you have people where they think that they got to go beat them over the head and show them how that it's a sin. No. Neither is right. What you need to do is love them. Take a look at Jesus and his ministry. What did he do with Mary Magdalene? He loved her. All throughout Jesus' ministry, he was always loving her and loving people. He was always loving people. The Bible says that if you exalt Jesus, then he will draw all men unto himself. So let's get busy, folks. Let's stop giving up ground. Let's start lifting up Jesus. And let's love the people. Let's minister to the people. Let's show them what real agape love is. Something they've never seen. Until next time, this is Jonathan Rocker from the Facebook group Equipping the Saints. I can't really predict when my next video will be, since my neck is really messed up. It's really hard to be vertical for very long, and doing a lot of the basic things takes everything out of me. So anyway, that's why I've taken to doing videos instead of writing, because it's easier for me to say so much more in a lot less time than for me to type all this out. I mean, can you imagine? As always, don't just accept my word. Look it up in scriptures. Examine it. Make sure that it holds true with scripture. Feel free to ask questions should you have any. Make comments. One thing I don't want is arguing. I'll get rid of arguments real quick. I don't mind if we discuss. So what do I call an argument? Something that's hostile. Think about it. Should always be willing to learn. So until next time, God bless.